Hello everyone, it's me, and today I thought it would be great if we delved into reworking every single killer that obviously deserves to be reworked. In my eyes, every killer needs some sort of tweaks, but some need it more than others, and you will see that very soon with the first killer that we'll be going into very shortly. But before that, I just want to say I have a Discord server that you guys can join, to which you can get a link where you can get my FAQ and where you can get these documents to read yourself and to kind of see what I'm working on off stream. And if you would like to check it out, then you're free to. There you can find all my opinions on games, what I would rework, how I would rework it, mostly DBD, just saying mostly DBD. But without any further ado, today we will be reworking one of my favorite killers that is unfortunately neglected by the developers, and that is Nemesis. This killer has been in a rough spot for a very long time. Not a lot has changed, and he has been at this type of stalemate where he has really bad add-ons. He has really shitty zombies as his secondary power, but his tentacle is somehow still making him a B tier killer. It is absolutely insane, and I am glad, because his power alone is dragging him so high up the tier list. Whereas with other killers, if they were in the same spot but they had a bad chasing power, on top of that, they would be horrible. So he has some sort of saving grace, which we should be happy for, because that way we can focus on changing the bad things. And this video will be split into 3 sections. The first section will be me reworking the tentacle and making some buffs to it. The next section will be reworking the zombies, and the final section will be reworking the add-ons. So if you guys want to skip through, and if you're interested in any particular part of the video without being interested in a different one, you can click and you can watch that part yourself. Now, Nemesis is surely a killer to be feared and chased, but he also has a drawback. He has to contaminate survivors, and he has an inbuilt slowdown after he contaminates a survivor, and that is for the first 0.2 seconds, the survivor will be slowed by 20%. It is a pretty big and hefty number, but in reality, it does essentially nothing. The survivors still get a 1.8 second speed boost as if they got hit, and they get too much distance overall, and for you not even injuring them, that is a big drawback. So what have I done? Well, firstly, I have made it so the hit cooldown after you contaminate a survivor is decreased by 30%. This wouldn't be the only change, because they would still get a 1.8 second speed boost, so you would still have to catch up significantly. So I've also made it so that the contaminated survivors only get 50% of the speed boost's duration. I think this aims to slow them down drastically, and it doesn't make them play in a passive way of holding W and getting contaminated and then holding W even more and essentially acting like they got hit when in reality they didn't. So with these changes implemented, I think it'll make contaminating survivors much less of a problem to deal with. And if some numbers have to be tweaked, that is fine, but the general idea is there, and I think that is what matters. The second thing we'll be changing about the tentacle will be the tentacle mutation rate. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with it, Nemesis essentially has 3 tiers of his tentacle. The first tier, he cannot break any pallets, any breakable doors. He can only contaminate and injure survivors from a very short distance. After he tiers up to tier 2, he is now able to break breakable walls and also break pallets, and he has an increased range on his tentacle. And in tier 3, when he holds up his tentacle, he has the same movement speed as the survivor, and he also has an increased range, very slightly though. Now, why is this an issue? Well, by itself, this is not an issue, I think this is one of the most balanced powers from killers that also is pretty oppressive sometimes. And the biggest issue here is Nemesis, without the use of a certain add-on, has to hit a survivor and then leave that survivor just to get tier 2 and hit a different survivor. How it works is, if you contaminate survivors, you get a lot more contamination points than if you didn't contaminate them and kept injuring them. So, without the use of Marvin's blood, you can see here that I just simply don't get tier 2 in time. I can injure, I can contaminate and down the survivor, but it just does not do anything. I still need to go and hit a zombie or two. But with the use of Marvin's blood, as you can see here, I have downed the survivor and I have gotten tier 2. And this is very, very good. Marvin's blood is easily his best add-on, and apart from Broken Recovery Coin, his other add-ons are really niche and situational. So, I have made a slight change that I think would be very nice, and that is, until Nemesis gets tier 2, his tentacle mutation rate on survivors is increased by 25%. I think this is a really nice change, and this incentivizes him to not play like Oni and not play like Legion, but essentially play like a normal killer. If you have to hit a survivor 3 times, at least let him be rewarded for hitting the survivor 3 times with his tentacle that doesn't have a lot of range. I think this change is very nice, and overall it's a quality of life change that is also a very nice buff. Moving on, the last change we will make to the tentacle will be very simple but very, very effective, and that is, upon reaching tier 3 of your tentacle mutation, Nemesis is now able to injure and contaminate healthy survivors. This basically means if there is a survivor that is not contaminated, with a tier 3 strike, if they are healthy, you are now going to injure them and contaminate them. The biggest issue with Nemesis is the fact that in tier 3, apart from getting 2 slightly good buffs, the range one being better than the other one, you don't really get much. And this is kind of sad because I think that this change would have made the most sense. Him having to hit survivors 3 times is kind of ridiculous, especially if he works for tier 3, which he should normally get mid-match. Now, to compensate for this, because this is a pretty big change, to compensate for this, we have made tier 3 harder to get. We made it around 33% harder to get. Maybe some changes need tweaks with the percentages, but overall, we need to make tier 3 harder to get. Because of the certain add-ons that still stayed in the game, the zombie add-ons, if Nemesis can just go and hit zombies and quickly get tier 3, I don't think that is very fair if the survivors stay contaminated on purpose to avoid tier 3. So this will make it pretty balanced. We made it harder to get, and with the use of certain add-ons, you can still certainly get it, but it is going to be harder to get. Those are all the changes for the tentacle, and now we're moving on to the changes of zombies. But before that, let's quickly delve into the vaccines. If you don't know, vaccines take 2 seconds to use, and I'm pretty sure they take around 4 seconds to open the supply case. That is around 6 to 7 seconds of slowdown. That is not bad. But the only issue I have, and have had this whole time, is the fact that the killer instinct stays only for 3 seconds. Now, if you are not distracted, you are easily going to see this. But if you're in a chase, and the killer instinct is muffled a bit by the chase music, that is very loud by the way, you are sometimes going to be too distracted, and you're probably going to hear the killer instinct in the end and then not see it. So what I did was I made the killer instinct last 2 more seconds, making it 5. This is a pretty okay change, nothing too special. It's just a quality of life change for the killer instinct and tracking in general. Now, moving on to the big talk, the zombies. The biggest issue to Nemesis are 100% the zombies. They constantly get stuck in my games. They do some weird things where they start chasing a survivor but then go turn 180 and chase somewhere else. It is completely ridiculous. I don't know what's going on with their AI. I don't know what the hell behavior thought of when they were making them, but it just keeps getting worse and worse as more patches come out. So with that, I'm gonna change them and make them very, very reliable. Not too overpowered, not oppressive, but reliable enough to be a secondary power. Knowing that the zombies are a passive power, this was very, very difficult to change and think of changes, because you cannot make them too powerful because you'll essentially have 3 killers in the trial. So what I did was I made their AI significantly improved and I fixed their pathing. We all know that zombies spawn underneath hooks, but other than that, I am pretty sure that zombies do not have a fixed path. I think they will genuinely just walk around anywhere they see. And I've seen them walk around the edges of backwater. I've seen them get stuck in so many places. So with the improvement of the AI, I don't think these should happen. This is a change from Odds Darva. If anything, if you see that a zombie is stuck, after a few seconds, they should get destroyed. Like, I don't want to walk over to the zombie that's been stuck for the past 10 minutes while I'm trying to pressure survivors just so he can do nothing for the next 5 minutes. If he somehow, after all of these changes, gets stuck, make him get destroyed and spawn somewhere else. With those changes out of the way, now we get to the other changes. How is their pathing fixed, you might ask? Well, now they will spawn near generators, around 20 meters away, or 10, depending on how far that is, and they will be 60% movement speed. Simple enough, they will not get any sort of boost unless they find an infected survivor. Then they will move at 80% movement speed. This aims to deter survivors quicker from the objective and make it harder for them to finish it, and also making the zombies more lethal. Now, there is one change left for the zombies after all of this, and that is after all generators have been repaired, if the zombies are not chasing anyone, they will get destroyed and they will emit a global sound of dying, after which, around 5 seconds later, they will spawn at the closest exit gate to them. And this aims to be a quality of life change that keeps survivors away. Overall, this change is just a nice quality of life, slight slowdown for the killer, passive slowdown as well, and I think it's very nice and it's nothing too powerful. It's just a nice little addition. Now, with us having fixed the base kit, we are now going to move on to the add-ons, and let me tell you, these add-ons are disappointing in almost every single way. I don't see any sort of playstyle from them, other than a few niche add-ons that sometimes get you value, but these add-ons are overall horrible, and today we'll be aiming to fix them. We're going to start from the first add-on, and that is the Visitor Wristband. A little heads up, some of these add-ons are not going to see a change. You're going to see me say no changes, or this add-on has no changes, because I simply think they're okay. I don't think there's anything too wrong with them. They're okay for their rarity, and I think they're fine. But I think that with the FOV and range on the new zombies, I think these add-ons are going to be pretty decent, actually. So the Visitor and Admin Wristband are actually decent add-ons as they are, but on the current zombies, they kind of suck because the zombies themselves suck. With the upgraded zombies, this will allow you to get a certain playstyle in that with more chases and stuff, but overall, these add-ons are okay for their rarity. Yellow and brown. These yellow and brown add-ons are pretty okay as they are. I don't think they need a change necessarily. So, Visitor Wristband, there are no changes. Now we move on to the Stars Field Combat Manual, and before, what this add-on used to do is, if a zombie hits a survivor, they glow yellow for 6 seconds. What is the purpose of this add-on? You tell me. I genuinely don't understand. Like, if anything, you're gonna see in the UI that a survivor's been either contaminated or hit, and you're gonna look and you're gonna see, unless you're in a chase, and you're gonna see that there's a zombie in animation of hitting, because it takes like 3 or 2 seconds. Like, it is not necessary. This add-on is just stupidly bad. I made this into a meme add-on. Since we now buffed tier 3, it would be funny if we made it so you cannot get to tier 3, but you break pallets 30% quicker with your tier 2 tentacle. Survivors, unfortunately now, because of this really good buff, will now gain a full speed boost upon getting contaminated. If you know this tech is Nemesis, to, instead of contaminating a survivor, to just destroy the pallet instead, then this could be a really good add-on in zoning survivors, honestly. Like, the 30% is not laughable, it is actually really good. So I think this add-on will be sometimes niche because the tier 3 tentacle is really worth it now. But overall, I think it's fine. I think it's a pretty decent meme add-on, actually. Next up, we've got the damaged syringe. And what this add-on used to do is it used to extend the killer instinct duration after a survivor uses the vaccine by 1.5 seconds, I think it was. And it also made the survivor use the vaccine 2 seconds longer. So it was a pretty okay brown, it just wasn't all that. So I give it a completely different use almost. I basically combined the plant 43 vines, buffed it, and I also gave a different effect upon vaccinating. Since it is a brown add-on, we cannot do anything too powerful, so I decided to make the survivors blind for 60 seconds, and I made it so supply cases now take 6 seconds longer to open. It is a pretty good slowdown, it's nothing too special, it is certainly a brown. It maybe could be a yellow, but I think as a brown it is pretty okay. It's nothing too crazy. Moving on to the Brian's Intestine, what this add-on does right now is it makes the movement speed of the zombie 25% quicker. Just so you guys know, zombies move at 25% movement speed, and you would think that it's 25 and 25 making it 50, but it's not. It is 25% of 25%, and it is laughable. It makes zombies 31% movement speed, and it is 6% movement speed bonus for a brown add-on on zombies that are already slow. Like, it's so stupid, and there are so many add-ons like this that do nothing, and it is just sad. So I made Brian's Intestine have a completely different use. The change I made was basically upon contaminating a survivor, they are hindered by 5% for the next 40 seconds. And if they are injured in the next 20 seconds with a tentacle strike, they are hindered by an additional 5% until the original 40 seconds are up. This is not a laughable add-on. This add-on is actually pretty fucking decent. Knowing that contaminating slows you down by 20%, it now slows you down by 25, making the speed boost for the first 0.2 seconds 125. That is pretty okay, honestly, but it's obviously 0.2 seconds, so it's nothing too special. But the hindered, if you stack it to 10, is actually insane. With that, we got every single common add-on out of the way. Now we're gonna move on to uncommon, aka yellow add-ons, and the first one is the zombie heart. What this used to do was it used to make you get more mutation rate out of a zombie, but it's 50%, and it is not that good unless you pair it up with another really decent actually add-on, the T-virus sample. But other than that, this add-on was just a copy of Tyrant Gore, and it just didn't do anything much. So if you guys didn't know, there's a certain thing you can do as Survivor when you go up against Nemesis to completely shut down his contamination in the early game, if you choose so, and if you're in a dead zone. Basically, if you get contaminated by a zombie, it does nothing for Nemesis, it doesn't give you anything. It also gives you a speed boost, and that is really, really bad for him, because if you were in a dead zone and there was a zombie, what you could do is you could take the speed boost and then go away and also shut him down from using Marvin's blood on the first chase and getting to tier 2. It is insane. And what I did was I made a simple change for this yellow add-on that is sometimes going to see a lot of value, and that is zombies contaminating survivors will now yield the same effect as if you contaminated them. This means you will gain the same contamination points, but there is a downside to zombies getting destroyed after 15 seconds of patrol. It is a downside that is sometimes necessary, but mostly it's just a nerf. But it is a yellow add-on, so I think it's fine. as is. Moving on, we got the Mikhail's Eye, or Michael's. I do not know how this is pronounced, since I didn't play the Resident Evil games, apart from a little bit of Resident Evil 2 Remake, so I do apologize. But next up is the Mikhail's Eye, and this used to make zombies move 35% quicker. I explained why these movement add-ons suck, even the 150%, because they are not that fast, and it is simply horrendous, and I don't like it at all. But what we did was we made this add-on into an actual decent add-on. Zombies' movement speed when not chasing survivors is increased by 20% flat movement speed. It simply makes them get to survivors quicker. It's not that bad, actually. Now, obviously, if I made it so that is their movement speed at all times, that would have to be a green or something. But overall, I think it's an okay add-on. It makes them get to points quicker, it makes them check gens quicker. It's actually a pretty decent add-on, and I like it a lot. Moving on, we got the Marvin's Blood, which before used to be the best add-on on Nemesis. And now I changed it to a green add-on. Now it's going to be a rare add-on instead of a yellow, and the serotonin injector is now a yellow add-on. So before we delve into Marvin's Blood, let's first go over the serotonin injector. The serotonin injector used to be an add-on. They made you gain an undetectable status effect for 15 seconds after you injure a zombie with a tentacle strike, but this is a pretty bad add-on for one reason. First of all, Nemesis can be heard from a decent fucking distance, like he is thumping constantly. Knowing that, you're not gonna get that much value out of undetectable, but still, you can sneak up, whereas before you would have a 32-meter radius, so it's not that bad. With that out of the way, there's another thing that is pretty bad about this add-on that is pretty apparent, and that is, as soon as the tentacle hits, then the undetectable starts, and that is bad because you have like a 2 to 3 second cooldown of your tentacle, and that essentially gives you less of the undetectable, which is kind of laughable as is. So I made it that after you hit a zombie, after the whole attack cooldown, then the undetectable starts. It is a pretty decent change, and for a yellow, it's fine. I don't think anyone will complain about a yellow being like this. And now we move on to the adrenaline injector. What this add-on used to do before is it used to make the killer instinct 3 seconds longer when a survivor uses the vaccine. This is so dumb. I am so sorry, but this is so dumb. I do not see the purpose of this add-on ever. Like, before, the common add-on, the brown one, is actually better because it provides you with slowdown. This add-on is just killer instinct. Legit the worst types of add-ons in the game. With that out of the way, I have decided to change it as is. Upon using a vaccine, the survivor is afflicted with the Oblivious status effect for 30 seconds, and you are granted the Undetectable status effect for 20 seconds. For this being a yellow, it's pretty okay. It's the same situation with the serotonin injector, but it's less situational and it's more passive. We need to make things more passive with Nemesis because he cannot really keep up that well. He cannot go to a zombie that's across the whole map just to hit him, get 15 seconds, and then not get any value because no one is nearby. Like, we cannot do that. This way, he gets 20 seconds of undetectable when someone vaccinates, and 30 seconds of Oblivious on the survivor that vaccinated. In my opinion, it's a decent yellow. Oblivious versus this killer is not good. It's not that good, but it might provide some sort of jump scare sometimes. Moving on, we got the admin wristband, and this one is just okay. I said I didn't want to change it, so we're not going to change it. With that, we got the yellow add-ons out of the way, and we can move on to the greens. The first green add-on we will be reworking will be the Tyrant Gore, and unfortunate as it is, I think it actually pairs well with the T-virus sample, and I will not be changing the Tyrant Gore because of that. Removing the zombie heart means we have to keep another 50% if we want to promote a certain playstyle of hitting zombies for maximum tier, and also providing some sort of counterplay to survivors staying contaminated, especially after you needing more contamination points to get tier 3. So we're not going to be reworking the Tyrant Gore, unfortunately, but we're going to be reworking and buffing T-virus sample a bit. Because it is a green add-on, for it having only one effect is kind of stupid, knowing that it is not even that good consistently, at least. But after these buffs, it will actually be pretty okay, so we're not going to be buffing it too much. But what we will do is we will make it so the Tentacle Strike mutation rate is the same on zombies, but you receive no slowdown after hitting a zombie with it, and you recover 30% quicker from the tentacle strike. You can pair this up with other add-ons, and that is the thing that matters the most. I want this killer to have versatile add-ons that can combine well. If you pair this up with the serotonin injector, you can actually get some pretty spicy plays, especially having no slowdown, so I think it's actually really nice. And overall, it's a pretty decent green. Moving on to the next add-on, we've got the Marvin's Blood. And this is a very different add-on than it used to be. And what it does now is, upon destroying a zombie with your tentacle, they gain the following power-ups. Their eyes glow red to be differentiated easily on the survivor side. They glow yellow on the killer's POV from walls. Once they are destroyed, the zombie will spawn near a random survivor and will prioritize injured survivors. The chase will last 15 seconds while its movement speed is 105%. If the zombie is not stunned by a pallet, he will jump over it and continue chase with the survivor. As you can see, I reworked this add-on a lot, and it was kind of a struggle to think of how to do this and how to change it, but overall, I think it's an okay add-on. I don't really know if there's much else I could have done with this. It's a pretty cool add-on in my opinion. You can get some really nice jump scares with it, and overall I think it is a pretty consistent add-on, which is the thing that matters the most. Next up, we got the Plant 43 Vines, and before, this add-on used to make supply case opening time longer by 4 seconds. It was a very, very mediocre add-on, and I changed it completely. Now, you are able to grab survivors with your tentacle strike upon downing them, as well as damage generators. Your cooldown when destroying generators with a tentacle strike is reduced by 15%. This is basically a mini brutal strength, and it also can be very goofy seeing Nemesis grab survivors out of a window vault. It's going to be very goofy looking at that and seeing that from the survivor side. But other than that, it's just a meme add-on. It's nothing too special. It can actually provide you with a lot of value sometimes. I like it a lot, actually. Next up, we got the Liquor Tongue. Easily the worst add-on in the entire game. What it used to do before was it hindered survivors when they get contaminated by an extra 0.2 seconds. It was horrible. It was so bad. It was so bad. So now I basically made it so the Liquor Tongue decreases the tentacle strike's cooldown by 10% if you're in tier 2 and by 15% if you're in tier 3. This will buff tier 3 an extra amount, making it even scarier, but it's not to the point that it's super oppressive. I like it a lot, and I hope you guys do as well. Now we're going to be moving on to the purple add-ons, and these are some of the weirdest add-ons that I've seen, purple-wise. They range from aura reading to oblivious to zombies to supply case. It is so weird. I changed almost every single one except broken recovery coin. First up, we got the NEA Parasite. I'm pretty sure it's called NEA, but I'm going to say NEA. Fuck it. The NEA Parasite made it so when you become contaminated, you're afflicted with the oblivious status effect for 60 seconds. That is basically it. Nothing else. But the thing is, you could get rid of it if they use a vaccine. That is a bit dumb because Oblivious on this killer is bad as it is, and being able to remove the Oblivious by vaccinating yourself is dumb, even though it does make sense. So what I changed was, the effect is the same, but you can no longer vaccinate yourself to cure the Oblivious. Unfortunately, as it is this add-on, I just do not know how to rework it, so we're gonna have to take it as is. Next up is the Jill Sandwich, and before, this add-on revealed the aura of the survivor that opened a supply case, but for 12 seconds. It's pretty okay. It's not too bad of an add-on. In my opinion, it doesn't deserve to be a purple, but it is what it is. What I did was I shortened the aura read by 4 seconds, now it's 8, but I made it so when you down a survivor with a tentacle strike, every other survivor in a 24-meter radius will scream, revealing their position and aura for 5 seconds. It is basically a mini infectious fright. I like it a lot. It also provides with an aura read. So yeah, it's a pretty good add-on. I like it a lot. Next up, we got the Depleted Ink Ribbon, and this add-on did 3 things. It made zombies spawn at exit gates if you destroy them after all gens are done. It made the zombie respawn time 5 seconds shorter, and it also increased their movement speed by 50%, and I said that these movement add-ons are bad, even if it's a 150, even if it's 50, like, it is so bad because it scales off of their movement speed of 25%, which is horrible. So yeah, with that out of the way, I decided to rework the whole add-on almost. Now, the zombie respawn time is reduced by 5 seconds still, but once the exit gates are powered, the zombies that respawn at the exit gate are granted 115% movement speed with a 10-second chase. The zombies in a chase with another survivor at the point of the gates being powered will be powered up with glowing yellow eyes and will move at 125% movement speed for the rest of the chase. If a survivor is injured during this, they will be inflicted with a deep wound and be injured from healthy to injured. And also, the powered zombies will not be able to down survivors during the chase. This is so niche, the second scenario, that some survivor will be in a chase as soon as the gates get powered, so making the zombie really powerful and being able to injure a survivor really quickly is pretty good, in my opinion. Like, they are 80% movement speed, they will not chase you for that long, you just have to keep running. In my opinion, it's a pretty decent purple with these changes, and it can actually be scary for some survivors. And also, obviously, if they hit an injured survivor, they will be put into deep wound instead of downed, so it's basically like facing the Legion. Moving on, we got the broken recovery coin, and as I said, I didn't make any changes for the broken recovery coin, simply because I think the add-on is by itself pretty okay, actually. And with that out of the way, we move on to the final sets of add-ons, the iridescent add-ons. And just a heads up, the first add-on has 2 reworks, because the first rework is probably impossible until the engine gets updated to actually implement. The first add-on is the Shattered Stars badge, and what this used to do was it used to increase the zombie movement speed by 150% for 60 seconds whenever a gen was completed. This made them slightly speedy, it wasn't too bad, but overall, they're nothing too special. And overall, this add-on was really underwhelming. So, I changed it completely. At the beginning of the trial, 7 zombies will spawn and roam around generator spots. All zombies will move at 105% movement speed until destroyed. Once 5 are destroyed and 2 remain, the zombie speed is reset to its normal value and the trial continues as normal. This would be so awesome to see, a full zombie horde chasing people around the map, scouting. It would be amazing. But unfortunately, the devs have said that it was impossible to add any more than 2 zombies because of the processing power of the game itself. And it is very unfortunate. Maybe one day they'll rework the engine so it runs better and it processes things more, because this certainly is nothing too demanding, but it's just their engine is lacking. So hopefully one day they'll be able to do it. They will rewrite their code so it's a bit better. But until then, we're gonna make this second rework, and that is all survivors start the trial contaminated. 2 more supply crates will spawn in the trial. Using vaccines takes 5 extra seconds. When the survivor vaccinates, you see their aura for 10 seconds. This is very similar to the Ouroboros Vial that Wesker has, it's just not as lethal, and it's actually, I think, hindering Nemesis. But if you want to go for a zombie playstyle with this Eerie badge, then this is actually pretty decent. It's nothing too special, but it can certainly get rid of vaccine cases really quickly. And the final add-on is the Iridescent Umbrella badge, and this is one of the biggest letdowns ever. It basically made survivors exposed for 60 seconds after a survivor uses a vaccine. This add-on is really lackluster, it doesn't really deserve an Eerie. Maybe if it was like, I don't know, maybe if it was like a yellow or something it would make sense, but exposed on Nemesis? Like, bro, I don't know, it's stupid. Well, the change I made was as is. Upon reaching mutation rate tier 3, you are able to instantly down healthy survivors. Lasts 60 seconds each time it is activated. It's basically like a Myers tier 3, you have to be very careful, and if a survivor gets downed instantly, you are in a bit of trouble. Just so you know, tier 3 Tentacle has a pretty decent range, so you can get them through window vaults, you don't have to M1 them, so it's a pretty decent add-on. It's definitely deserving of an Eerie though, that is for sure. The bad thing is eventually you're gonna run out of survivors to contaminate, and at that point you're gonna win anyway. So if you want to just keep renewing your tier 3, you're gonna have to hit zombies instead of hit survivors, and that might take some time. Those are all the changes for Nemesis. I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, you can check out my Discord server where you can see all the documents and keep up to date and talk to each other, keep up to date with the news, with the DVD leaks and stuff. It was very fun reworking Nemesis. It was certainly a challenge, but he is my second favorite killer in the entire game, so I really wanted to give him some love that he really deserved. Hopefully one day the devs will implement some of these changes. If not, it is what it is. It was really fun filming this either way. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you all in the next video. I love you all, and take care. Bye bye.